You've probably already heard it, you might have even read it, but if West Ham get relegated this season, David Moyes may still be our manager next season in the Championship. Yes, that's right, West Ham get relegated, Moyes stays. That's according to Jim White over on talkSPORT. Yesterday when he was doing his radio show, he discussed how he spoke to somebody in a position of authority at West Ham. Now, we all know who that is. It's David Sullivan. There's loads of evidence in the past. Jim White's been entertained in a hospitality suite, the director's lounge at the London Stadium. Sullivan has used the radio show to go on and do interviews in the past where perhaps the questions haven't been that hard hitting. He's had a bit of an easy ride on there. It's been a very fruitful relationship for both. I get it. I get why White likes it and I get why Sullivan likes it. Jim White gets his exclusive, he gets his sound bites. If West Ham's a big topic, he can directly contact David Sullivan for a quote. David Sullivan likes it. He can take advantage of it because if he's got anything he wants to put out there, anything he wants to leak, he can do it via talkSPORT. So it works for both of them. But there's loads of evidence to suggest that when Jim White suggests he spoke to somebody in authority at West Ham, he's speaking about David Sullivan. Jim White went on to say that their target this season is to remain in the Premier League and win the Europa Conference League. Right, that's nothing new. There's no surprises there. Of course it is. Of course our target is to stay in the league. And why wouldn't we try and win the European Conference League? Of course we'll try and win it, so that's nothing new. But Jim White went on to say, even if West Ham go down, Moyes would still carry on. Now that's his words. Moyes would still carry on. Quite definitive. But I'm actually going to take that with a pinch of salt because that might be Jim White's interpretation of a conversation with David Sullivan. Perhaps David Sullivan didn't word it quite like that, and that is how Jim White's picked it up and then he's relaying it back to the listeners on talkSPORT. But even the possibility, even let's just soften that phrase to David Moyes may still carry on, that is not good. West Ham get relegated and the manager keeps his job for next season. That is absolutely bonkers. It is mental that's even a possibility. If we keep David Moyes till the end of the season and if we get relegated, the first thing that should be happening is David Moyes getting sacked. Even as soon as the final whistle's gone, it should be a case of, right, that's it. Moyes should know before the game kicks off against Leicester City, if we get relegated today, you are out of a job. That should be the scenario we're in. And that is worst case scenario, which is, we don't sack him, we decide we're going to keep Moyes till the end of the season. Karen Brady's also spoken out about it earlier in the week and suggested that Moyes is passionate as ever. Hopefully he can turn it around. It's not very reassuring, is it? Why is the manager still? Oh, he's passionate as ever. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I'll get some points, won't it? I forgot about that column in the Premier League that goes goals for, goals against, goal difference, passion, and then points gained. I forgot about that column. At least we're doing well in that. I'll put it alongside the how our XG is really good and our XGA, the goals expected against us, is also really good. At least we're performing mid-table for those statistics, but we're also performing quite high up the passion ranking. But anyway, rant aside about Karen Brady's conversation regarding David Moyes, and back to the one that David Sullivan had with Jim White. So it'd be mental, right, if David Moyes would be here next season should we get relegated. But is it surprising? And I think this is the worst thing for me. No, I don't think it is. Now, the day before yesterday, so Wednesday, so this Jim White thing happened on Thursday. On Wednesday, I did a mug of tea with Gonzo over on Patreon. So once a month, myself and Gonzo link up. It's about an hour and a half show. And the patrons submit topics via questions or just say, can you discuss this? And we'll discuss it. And then it creates a discussion for the patrons as well. I'll promote Patreon in a minute. But within there, I don't even know why we got onto it, but we started talking about the possibility of David Moyes retaining his job next season. Gonzo basically said, I think it's inevitable. David Moyes goes at the end of the season. If we stay up or we get relegated, I think Moyes is gone at the end of the season. And I said, I don't think he is. I think the complete opposite. So if we stay up, I think David Moyes will retain his job. Why wouldn't he? I've always got this theory. Some people agree, some people disagree. And if you do, that's fine. It's fine if you do. You may be right. But my theory is, at the start of every season, the board have one aim. Make sure that come May, when the season finishes, we are 17th at worst. We stay in the Premier League. That's what the board want to do every single season. Stay in the Premier League. So should David Moyes keep us up, I think they will actually look at it as, job done. That targets that Jim White was talking about, I know he would have had the conversation earlier in the week, and that's the targets Jim White's been told about, to stay in the Premier League and win the Conference League. I wouldn't be surprised if you were to speak to David Sullivan in August and say, what's the targets for this season? Stay in the Premier League and win the Conference League. I don't think they've changed. I think that's always been the target this season. But anyway, that theory to one side. So if Moyes keeps this up, I think it's job done as far as the board are concerned, and he will keep his job next season. I think if we're in the Premier League next season and there's no change of ownership, that's important, then I think Moyes will be here. But I also started discussing with Gonzo. I said, even if we go down, I can see them keeping him. I can see them keeping David Moyes next season, even if we get relegated. And I gave my reasons, and I'll give you my reasons in just a minute. Before I do, I just want to quickly promote Patreon, if you don't mind. Patreon is where we upload other videos. So on this channel, you'll get the match previews, the match reviews, and we'll talk about the big headlines, the big news, like this one. We're talking about the big news. You've got the forum channel as well, where Gonzo does daily videos about the games, about player performances, about the news, the rumours, the gossip, whatever it is. Whatever's in the press for West Ham, Gonzo will discuss it. Then we've got Patreon, where we upload separate videos, which is a bit different. We've got Hammerlytics, which is an analysis view at the games. We've got the Anton Ferdinand podcast, where myself or Gonzo sit with Anton for half an hour and get his thoughts. Put it this way, he would like to see David Moyes sacked, but this week he was saying the players need to start taking a look at themselves in the mirror and, well, step him up really. And basically Anton's been saying that if the players don't want to play Moyes' way, they've got to sort something out and go to the gaffer and say either you need to fix it or they need to start doing their own thing on the pitch. And he refers back to when he played under Alan Kirbishley. So we've got that on there. I do an opposition prediction every week. We do player ratings, which we've just done today for the Larnaca game. We've got lots of breakfast show every match day. Myself and Gonzo link up. Those shows go off at a tangent. It's about 5 minutes of football, 5 minutes of West Ham, 5 minutes of football, and 5 minutes of just chaos. But we've got loads of videos over there. From £3.60 it costs to subscribe. It is a subscription based service, so from £3.60 per month, and you unlock more videos. You also get some benefits, entry into giveaways, online store discount, etc, etc. I know I'm going on about it, but I'm just doing my best to promote it, because the more people that join up, the better it is for us and helps us. We wouldn't do this video on this channel today and on the forum channel without Patreon. Take Patreon away, we'll do 3 videos a week on each channel, because sometimes the reason for people not joining Patreon we get is, I'm happy with what you do on YouTube, but without Patreon we wouldn't do what we do on YouTube. But anyway, if you fancy checking out, links in description, or you can go to patreon.com/hammerschat, or read the pinned comment of this video, or email us hammerschatpatreon@gmail.com if you've got any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Anyway, without further ado, sorry for that, but we've got to promote it at some point. The reasons I think David Moyes will stay here. So at the start of the week, Gonzo did a video, the reasons that David Moyes was not getting sacked. After the Brighton game, there was obviously big calls from some fans saying, that's it now, he's got to go, we're heading in one direction and it's to the Championship, we need to change our manager. So naturally, when it comes out that David Moyes is not going to get sacked, there's always a follow-up. Well, what's the reasons for that, for your decision? And Gonzo did a video, 4 reasons why Moyes is not getting sacked. I listened to it, and I hadn't seen this, so it was new to me when I was listening to it. Not one reason, not one, was because of David Moyes. Not one reason. The reason for keeping Moyes, not one reason was because we think Moyes is a good manager, and we think Moyes is going to turn it around, and we're going to be fine, we're going to win the conference. That didn't happen. One of the reasons was because we can't find anyone else. Alright, but it doesn't mean you keep the current guy. Another reason, money. Well, the reasons given for keeping David Moyes today is still applicable in the summer, even if we got relegated. Because even if we get relegated, they've still got to identify a new manager. Arguably, it becomes an even harder task. At the minute, we're still a Premier League club. We still have a very good chance of staying up. Do you know something? I'll confess it here. Even if Moyes was to stay between now and then of the season, I'm still not convinced we get relegated. I think we might just stay up. It will be close, and it will go to the wire. Our second last game of the season, home to Leeds, that might be the game where we will find out if we're going to stay up or not, and then hopefully we don't go to the last game against Leicester. I'm not convinced we're going to get relegated if Moyes remains between now and then of the season. Am I confident we'll stay up? No. Don't twist my words. I'm not saying we're 100% staying up. I think we might just stay up. That's it. That's as confident as I am, right, okay? I had to edit the video because I forgot what I was saying before starting my clarification. This is why I don't like clarifying stuff in disclaimers. I lose my train of thought. But anyway, back to that. I still think we have a good chance of staying up. So the pool of managers we could attract at the minute is probably quite good. Not as good as it was before the World Cup, but it's probably still high calibre managers in that pool. If we get relegated, it's a completely different thing. At the minute, we're looking for a firefighter, somebody that can just come in and do the short-term job, and then we'll take it from there. In the summer, if we got relegated, I think you're looking for a completely different manager. You're looking for like a project manager, someone that can oversee a massive rebuild. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players leaving the club, bringing in 7, 8 players as well. That's a big job. So the responsibility of identifying a manager in the summer, I would argue, is actually harder than it is now. So when they say, well, we can't find anyone, or they allude to that, well, good luck in the summer doing that then. In regards to money, unless there's a clause in David Moyes' contract, which we're unaware of, which I find unlikely, because we would have heard about it, we would know about that clause by now. It would have got leaked somewhere that if we get relegated, there's a clause that we can sack Moyes, no compensation. That's also unlikely at this point. So money is still going to be relevant. He's still got 1 year to go on his contract come the summer. We know he's on $5 million a year. So you do the math. We know what the compensation is. You add in his backroom staff as well if we wish to sack them. It's still a £7 million job to sack David Moyes and his entire team. So the money is one of the reasons we're keeping him. And when the money's given, it's almost like well, we don't have money to go buy and to go get another manager out of the club. I don't always think it's referring to that. I think it's referring to the compensation to David Moyes as well. So those reasons that's applicable for keeping Moyes now is still applicable in the summer, even if we got relegated. And then you add in the fact that David Moyes would be entering the final year of his contract. And I think that's another reason to keep him, which we'll give him this year. And if it doesn't get him up, we don't have to pay him anything. He goes, we can get somebody else in. Honestly, if we go down, I'm not saying I would expect him to stay, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was to remain. I was having a look at when he was at Sunderland and they got relegated. He was set to stay. Moyes was set to stay at Sunderland. He didn't get sacked. He had a meeting with the owners and the chairman, basically demanded a substantial budget for the Championship because he wanted to make big changes. He'd fallen out with key players at Sunderland, and basically had a meeting with the owners, and by the end of the meeting Moyes resigned. Moyes walked off because he had these list of demands and he wasn't getting them, so he thought, oh bugger it, I'm off ski. That won't happen here, I don't think. Moyes, when he was at Sunderland, Moyes did not have that relationship he had with the Sunderland chairman. He'd just joined them. He was still new to the job in some ways, but here we know he's got a very good relationship with David Sullivan. That's why he's still here. If he didn't get on with David Sullivan, a bit like Allardyce, you could tell Allardyce and Sullivan did not have a good working relationship. I remember Sam Allardyce going on Soccer AM and basically calling out David Sullivan, but he did the job. Allardyce kept us up and it suited Sullivan. Obviously, his contract come to an end. It's like, right, off you go then. You're not getting a new one. We're not keeping you. Go. That relation. Allardyce was a really big personality, but Moyes, I think, has got that relationship with David Sullivan where it's kept him in the job so far. Would it keep him in the job in the Championship? The worst thing is I can believe it, and that scares me a lot. Obviously, a large part of this depends on whether there would be a change of ownership. Off the back of the Kaczynski rumours wanting to purchase David Gold's estate shares, there's been an update from Jacob Steinberg basically saying that there's no plans from Sullivan to sell any part of West Ham. Well, there's no plans from Sullivan or Kaczynski to have any change of ownership until the summer at least. So it left it open for change in the summer. But yeah, that's what Jim White said on talkSPORT. Not me, I'm not saying it. Jim White said it, that should West Ham go down, Moyes would still carry on. And I kind of believe it, and that scares me. The one thing I will say, the only time I felt Moyes might get sacked this season was before the Forest game. I felt if we lost that game, he might get sacked. That's the only time. Maybe. Before that, never once thought Moyes was getting sacked. And do you know something? I'll say it now. We could get beat by Aston Villa handsomely, 3-0 or something. I still think he'll be here. I think Moyes will be here for the Southampton game, regardless of the outcome on Sunday. Make of that what you will. I could be wrong. But anyway, I'm going to disappear now. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And if you don't mind checking out Patreon, links in description and the pinned comments. Any support is much appreciated. It makes a massive difference. Villa preview up tonight at 6 o'clock. See you then.
But I'm not there to tell Thiago Silva how to defend. He knows how to, he plays. He knows how to defend. I can't tell him how to defend. I can just give him structure. And I think it's about time that the players start to take some onus. I've been one, David Moyes. I think it's time for him to go. I've been one that said it. I've been a fan who said it. A lot of people are saying it. But when are we going to start saying, actually, the players need to start taking some onus? They need to start taking some responsibility. They're the ones essentially crossing the white line. David Moyes ain't crossing the white line and playing. I bet he wish he was. He was.
Yeah.
But he's not. But he's putting a structure in place that, by the way, he's always put this structure there. It's not nothing new. People just don't see it when we're winning games. It's the same structure.
Yeah.
The difference is the players applied themselves better before than what they are now. If we're really looking at the facts, that's what it is. David Moyes has always been a defensive manager.